What if the most innocent face you've ever seen was hiding the darkest mind imaginable? She smiles like an angel. She walks red carpets. People fall for her beauty before they hear her name. But behind those eyes, there's no love, no mercy, only calculation. This is not a story about a victim. And it's not a simple story about a villain. This is the story of Jin, a woman who never gets her hands dirty, yet leaves blood everywhere she goes. She doesn't kill. She makes others do it for her. And as we dig deeper into her past, one question becomes impossible to ignore. Was she created by pain? Or was she always a monster waiting for the right moment to smile? This is Dear X. And once you start this story, there's no turning back. Our series begins with our heroine Jin, walking down the red carpet, surrounded by journalists and countless fans. From her facial features alone, you can immediately see how beautiful and innocent she looks, especially her eyes. Eyes that can mesmerize anyone who looks at her. But what's inside her is the complete opposite. Dear viewer, Jin is the most psychopathic girl you'll ever see in your life. She exploits her beauty purely for personal gain. She doesn't know how to love at all. She deliberately gets close only to men she can benefit from. And although she has never directly committed a crime herself, she has always been the reason crimes happened, causing the deaths of two people, Beck and Hyo. And you'll be just as shocked as I was when you find out who they really are. And honestly, that's not the only thing her beauty is hiding. Inside her are many unfinished plans, delayed dreams of revenge that she hasn't carried out yet. But let's not judge her too quickly. Let's go back and see her story from the very beginning. We rewind to her childhood and find Jin, despite her very young age, treating her own wounds by herself, even though her mother is sleeping right beside her. The real shock is that her mother is the one who caused those wounds. Every time her mother drinks and falls under the influence of alcohol, once the bottle is empty, she turns to Jin and beats her relentlessly, until she leaves her covered in injuries. One day, her father Baek comes home. Jin speaks to him with frightening emotional calm and asks, "Can you please make my mom stop hitting me all the time when she's drunk? My whole body really hurts." Beck responds while dragging the mother across the floor to force her under the shower, saying, "How am I supposed to stop her? She's always like this anyway." Luckily or unluckily, it's pouring rain outside, so he decides it's easier to take her out instead. But while standing there, a twisted idea crosses his mind. He throws her down the stairs, hoping her neck will break and they'll finally be rid of her. Jin comes out and finds her mother lying unconscious on the ground. Completely calm, emotionally detached, she asks her father, "Did you push her?" Baek immediately lies. Of course not. She was standing and slipped because she was drunk. Then he threatens Jin, "I want you to remember everything she used to do to you. And if you ever talk about this, I'll throw you down just like her." And that alone is enough to explain why Jin grew into the person she became. Jin walks down the stairs toward her mother, believing she's dead, only to be shocked when her mother, bleeding heavily, grabs onto her and begs for help. But Jin feels nothing. No fear, no sadness, no sympathy. She pushes her away, goes back to their apartment, and acts as if nothing ever happened. Days and years pass, until we see Jin as a stunning high school student. Everyone is celebrating the school's anniversary while she sits quietly, waiting. She looks out the window and notices a man getting out of his car, visibly furious. The moment he enters, he slaps a female teacher in front of everyone. We then learn he's her husband. He throws photos at her, proof of her betrayal, and publicly exposes her in front of the students and the entire school. The principal scolds her harshly because of the school's reputation, and suddenly, the news spreads everywhere that she was having an affair with another man. She's fired immediately. After all, what could a school like that possibly teach how to cheat honestly? That's when we realize this wasn't a coincidence. This was high-level work by Jin. We understand this when Jin approaches the teacher under the pretense of comforting her and says, "I hope you liked my gift. Like I told you, I was deprived of family love, so my gift came straight from my heart." As the teacher leaves, Song enters. She checks her grades and gets extremely upset when she sees Jin scored 2 points higher than her. The teacher explains it was only a practical test and won't affect anything. Song then remembers seeing Jin alone with the teacher earlier and suspects Jin passed because of her looks, not her studying. But before she can hear anything, their classmate June sees her standing there and asks what she's doing, so she runs away. Later, Song confronts Jin and asks what she was doing alone with the teacher. Jin responds calmly, smiling, "You know, nosy people like you, the police usually find them later as victims, torn apart and dumped somewhere." Song is terrified and decides to leave her alone. It's clear that Song is extremely jealous of Jin, especially because she's very close to June. She gets furious when June gives up his place in a study group competition, something like a scholarship ranking to Jin, claiming she deserves it more, even though he's the one who actually studies and helps her. In reality, June is just trying to escape Song, who constantly clings to him. June, however, is completely obsessed with Jin. His heart, mind, everything revolves around her. He watches her from the window while she pretends not to notice, even though she's fully aware of his gaze. Sometimes June drifts into childhood memories with Jin, only to wake up beside her. She calmly reminds him it's late and he should leave. When he says he's comfortable staying, she cuts it short and asks him to bring his notebooks using him again, because he summarizes lessons brilliantly. While going through his notes, Jin finds a letter from Song confessing her love to June. June approaches Jin, trying to explain that he doesn't know anything and doesn't have to respond. But Jin's mesmerizing gaze weakens him. She gets closer and tells him to leave the response to her. The next day at school, Jin is informed she has been removed from the group because parents complained about her social status, an orphan with no parents, not from their level. She asks who filed the complaint and quickly realizes it was Song's father. Lost in memories of her mother beating her for no reason, Jin snaps back when Song mocks her exclusion. Jin's response is perfectly calculated. She says, "You love June, right? He told me to pass this message to you." The message? A cruel rejection saying Song is unlovable and no one can stand her. And of course, Jin doesn't stop there. Soon, Song is informed that her entire group has been disqualified after rumors spread that they bribed judges. Who did it? One of the parents. Clearly, Song's father. Song storms into the bathroom, furious, swearing on the phone that she'll make someone pay. Jin enters calmly and asks, "And how exactly are you going to do that?" Another day, Song throws water on Jin, ruining her clothes. Jin stays silent, smiling the calm before the storm. June notices Jin's absence from class and then sees her enter, completely soaked. He runs to cover her with his jacket and takes her outside. There, they encounter Jang, a classmate who hates June. Jin threatens Jang quietly. "Your reputation is bad. Keep it hidden." We later learn she once caught him stealing. In the present, Jang's phone falls during a scuffle. Song, being nosy, picks it up and searches it. She finds messages between him and someone called the president, messages about blackmailing people for money. The president is Jin. Meanwhile, Jin manipulates June, telling him Song attacked her and even tried to drown her. She begs him to protect her. One look from Jin is enough. June agrees instantly. The next day, Jang tells Jin the police questioned him but never mentioned her. She tries to use him too, but he pulls away, revealing his father beats him. Jin secretly wishes he'd just kill his father and be free. Time passes, and Song keeps targeting Jin on purpose. One time, she accidentally spills juice all over Jin's food right in front of the other students. Jin doesn't say a word. Another time, Song follows her and swears she'll make Jin regret any dirty move she tries to pull. And again, Jin stays silent. But what Song doesn't notice is this. John is watching from a distance. And that's exactly why Jin keeps her mouth shut. Because Jin needs John to believe she's helpless, innocent, the victim. So John finally goes to Song. He holds her hand, looks her in the eyes, and lies to her smoothly. He tells her he likes her. And he explains that whatever he has with Jin is nothing but friendship. Then he begs her not to cause problems. "She's my only friend," he tells Song. And he even agrees to go out with her that weekend. Meanwhile, Jin is planning something else. She teams up with Jang and tells him, "We're gonna stop Song. She's the one who stole your phone, and if she keeps going, both of us will get exposed." But Jin isn't thinking small. She decides to play an even bigger game. One day, she finds Song opening her school locker. Jin walks up smiling, pretending to congratulate her on the relationship. But the real reason? Jin is carefully watching. She memorizes the locker password. Later, when Song goes to meet John, he tells her, "Skip class and wait for me in the classroom." Song agrees. She walks into the class, and she sees something written on the board. "As soon as you arrive, erase what I wrote." At that exact moment, Zhang is in another classroom, stealing the donation money. And at the same time, Song catches a glimpse of Jin with that same teacher again, and she starts suspecting they're getting close. When everyone goes back to class, the students suddenly accuse Song. "You stole the donation money." Song doesn't understand why. What she doesn't realize is that the door lock was already broken from the start. So she panics. She empties her entire bag to prove she didn't take anything. But then Zhang steps in and forces her to open her locker. Song tries to resist. Yang shows her. And suddenly the locker bursts open, and everything falls out. His phone, his earphones, and the donation envelope. And Song stands there in shock, because she has no idea that John was part of this whole setup. John lured her into the classroom while they hid the stolen items inside her locker. From a distance, Jin watches it all, and whispers like a villain in a movie. "This isn't over. We still have another round." Now Song is desperate. Her relationship with John is basically destroyed. So she decides to burn everything down. She tells everyone. Jin and Jang are working together. They blackmail people. But Jang already prepared for this. He deleted the messages, the only evidence that could expose him. Then Song screams in front of the whole school. Jin is having an affair with the art teacher, and the teacher, furious, slaps Song hard, because that teacher is literally her fiancé. She tells Song, "I asked permission before I entered his office." Then Jin steps in, with her innocent angel face, pure light in her eyes, and explains calmly, "I was just talking to him about something. He suggested I visit his center, about love and art. That's all." And she even pretends to defend Song. Guys, she must have misunderstood. Song's last hope is John. But John completely destroys her. He looks at her and says, "I warned you to stay away from Jin. You're the stupid one." Then he adds the most brutal line. You think I love you? Nobody even likes you. And it's all filmed, posted online, and it goes viral. Song's life collapses. Her family collapses with her. And when she's finally broken, she runs straight to Jin, blocks her path, and screams, "You ruined my life!" Jin doesn't even blink. She says, "You annoyed me again and again. I stayed silent, and you kept pushing. You thought I was stupid enough to let people hurt me forever?" Then she vows, "I won't let you or your family get away with this. Not like me. I have no one." But what Song doesn't know is even worse. Jin already has photos on Song's father. Photos that could destroy him completely. And Jin leans in, cold and smiling, and says, "By the way, do you remember that teacher who got exposed? Who was she cheating with? You didn't even look at those pictures properly, did you?" Then Jin spits poison like it's nothing. "You're a thief. Not raised right. Your father is a cheater. God knows what your mother does." And she hugs Song gently, like a goodbye, then whispers, "Song, you're so energetic, with a face like an angel. You're cursed." And she walks away. Now we cut back in time, because we need to understand Jin. And it wasn't just her mother's abuse, or her father's cruelty. It was deeper. Much deeper. We see the last day she was with her mother. Jin leaves the supermarket after her mother forced her to steal alcohol. The shop owner catches her. Jin stays silent. Then we see her father, Beck, the man who later kills the mother, acting like he's devastated. He even forces Jin to cry at the funeral, literally pushing emotion out of her. After that, he takes her to his mistress's house, and he warns Jin, "If you behave, you can live with us. But if you cause trouble, I'll throw you out." And then we understand something dark. Beck wants something from Jin, something no father should ever want. And we'll find out soon, the moment Jin enters that house. Susie welcomes her. Susie is John's mother. And that's where Jin and John meet for the first time. Beck and Susie leave the kids and go to the bedroom, and Jin hears everything. Beck tells Susie, "I can photograph her and sell her to men who like girls her age." Jin is outside, crying, shaking, and Susie asks, almost casually, "And the videos, will they bring money? Are you sure?" Beck reassures her. Then he warns Susie, "Stay away from her. She might bite you, like her mother did." And they laugh, while Jin stands there, crushed, powerless, alone. Back to the present. Jin is still not done with Song, and we find out Jin got her hands on Song's notebooks. But suddenly, someone calls Jin, "Your father wants you." And we see Baek arrives at the school. He wants money from Jin, because she's been avoiding him for a while. Song is secretly happy. But then she sees John still taking Jin's side again, and she breaks. Her diary falls to the floor, and her classmates pick it up. And we realize Song has been talking trash about everyone, calling them disgusting names, insulting every single person. At the same time, John goes to pay Beck. John makes a deal with him. "Don't show your face again until Jin finishes school." But Beck smiles and says, "She's my daughter. I have to see her." Then he hints at something terrifying. "If I sell her, I'll make good money." And he looks at John like a predator. "Don't you see how beautiful she is?" Then, right after that, a businesswoman approaches Jin. She introduces herself. "My name is Hai." She tells Jin she admires her, and she offers her a path to become a model, famous, successful. But Jin looks empty. She has no passion. She walks away. And Song? She's getting destroyed by the girls who read her diary. She tries to bribe them with money to stop. They refuse. They keep humiliating her harder. Then Jung calls Jin. He tells her something shocking. "I killed my father like you always wished. But it was an accident. He was protecting his younger brother." Jin advises him coldly. "Turn yourself in. Tell the truth. But add drama, so your sentence becomes lighter." Days pass. Jin graduates. She gets accepted into an expensive university far away. One of the best universities she ever dreamed of. John tries to help her. He goes to his grandfather, asks for money. The grandfather agrees, but only if John travels with him for medical treatment. John returns to Jin, tells her everything, hands her the university money. And Jin doesn't even have time to feel sad that he's leaving, because what matters to her is simple. Her benefit is secured. But when Jin goes home, she finds Buck waiting. He lost everything in gambling. He attacks her. He steals every single dollar John gave her for university. And he doesn't stop there. He beats her brutally like she's his enemy. And that sends us back in time again, to when Jin lived with John as a child. John gets a high fever. Jin asks about his mother. He says he doesn't know where she is. So Jin handles it herself. She makes cold compresses, because there's no medicine. They talk quietly when he feels better. Jin looks at him and asks, "Who do you look like?" Because John looks nothing like his mother. John shows her an old family photo. His father, his mother, and their driver. And Jin notices something immediately. John looks more like the driver than his own family. Even though she's young, her life has already taught her too much. Jin goes to Susie's room. She says bluntly, "So, it's just you and me now. Why did John's father leave you?" Susie freezes. Jin narrows her eyes and continues, "No, not John's father. The driver left you. The driver ran away." John loves him. Then Jin blackmails her without blinking. If you try to throw me out, I will expose you. I will tell everyone John is the driver's son. And if you want my silence, you'll give me everything I want. Susie starts obeying, but Jin doesn't stop at money. From that day, she becomes addicted to planning. She goes back to John, shows him what she got. She asks him, "Why are you sad?" He says he's stuck inside the house all the time. So Jin plants the poison. Your mom doesn't love you. When you're sick, she doesn't even care. She might want you dead. Her and Bake. Susie hears them. She panics. She goes to her room and calls Bake. Take Jin to an orphanage. She tells him everything she heard. And at that exact moment, Jin walks into Susie's room. She accuses her, "You're always spying." She reminds Susie of the warning. "I can expose you." Susie starts insulting her. And Jin keeps pushing like she wants her to explode. And she does. Susie grabs Jin, tries to drown her in the bathtub. And finally, Jin gets what she wanted. John sees his mother trying to kill Jin. Jin screams, "John, didn't I tell you?" She runs and begs him, "Call the police, hurry." She even tells him what to say. Tell them a little girl fell from a tall building. Then Jin runs to the window, opens it, looks at Susie with cold eyes, and says something that will haunt her forever. "Your life is still long. My mother fell down the stairs. She was still alive, but I refused to help her. This time, your son will make me happy." And she throws herself. John watches her fall, and he believes Susie did it. We see Jin in the hospital, wrapped in casts. John is next to her, almost the only person truly sad. Beck is screaming, not because he loves her, but because he can't execute his plan now. How is he going to film her and sell her when she's broken like this? John covers her ears, trying to protect her from hearing. He holds her hand and promises, "I'll always stay with you." In the present, Jin wakes up in the hospital. John is still holding her hand. He asks, "Do you remember me? You were in a coma for 3 days." Jin answers quietly, "I remember your touch from when we were kids. How could I forget it now?" Then disaster hits again. She gets a call. University registration is closed. Her chance is gone. And from that moment, Jin decides, enough. No more waiting. No more silence. No more victim role. She will change her entire personality. She leaves the hospital, heads home, and John follows behind her. Not speaking, just trying to protect her. On the way, they see a young man chasing a thief. Not running, flying after him. Jin watches, fascinated. Her eyes show admiration. But we already know. Never trust Jin's eyes. The chaos grows. Police arrive. Arrest the thief. And that man introduces himself to Jin. He's a famous baseball player. His name is Han. They talk at a restaurant. John watches from afar, researching him. Jealous. And we find out Jin didn't go home that day. She was applying for a job. And, by coincidence, Han is the one interviewing her. But with Jin, there is no coincidence. Everything is calculated. Later, John offers Jin a new apartment far from her old place to escape Beck. But Jin refuses. She tells him, if he comes again, I'll give him what he wants. Days pass. Jin starts working at that famous restaurant. Everyone admires her. People post about her beauty. They come just to see her. Hi, the businesswoman follows the news. She refuses to let Jin stay wasted like this. Back at the restaurant, Jin notices Han sitting with the president of a big club. She watches closely, thinking he might be signing a new contract. And John's routine becomes clear. Every day, he comes to pick Jin up and walk her home himself. Everyone at the restaurant thinks he's like her brother. But we know the truth, and we would never dare to say it out loud. Our story continues, and this time, Jane doesn't just play games. She starts moving pieces like a chess master. One day, on their way home together, she spends the entire walk talking about Han. How kind he is, how brave, how different. She keeps praising him like he's the perfect man. Then she looks at John and asks, almost innocently, "Why would fate ever bring me someone like him?" John's heart breaks right there, but he tries to hide it. He forces a smile and says, "Maybe he's your second destiny." And Jane keeps thinking, because she's still close to John for one reason. To control him. To bend him. To push him exactly where she wants. That same night, a strange man shows up at the restaurant, wearing a weird cap, asking for Jane by name. His energy is off, unstable, dangerous. One of Jane's coworkers throws him out. Later that night, John calls her, standing at the start of her street. While he's on the phone, he hears her ringtone nearby. He follows the sound and finds her bag on the ground. His body freezes. He starts running. Full speed, and there he finds it. That unstable man, the one who asked about her earlier, has attacked her. But Jane doesn't scream for help like a normal victim. She's already defending herself. John arrives just in time to see something that makes his blood turn cold. Jane holding a stone and smashing the man's head with pure hatred. Not just once, not twice, over and over like she's punishing the world through him. The man is already unconscious, but Jane doesn't stop. John is terrified, not because she was attacked, because of who she becomes when she fights back. He tries to calm her down, but she turns and screams in his face. Then suddenly, Her tone changes. Her eyes become that same hypnotic look again. Cold. Steady. Quiet. She asks him softly, "What can you do for me?" John swallows. "Anything you ask." She repeats it differently. Sharper. Testing him. "I mean it. Can you hurt anyone? For me?" John starts to say something like, "Not every problem needs violence." But she cuts him off, walks away, and throws the final knife over her shoulder. "If you were brave, you would have killed just one man for me." Then, she looks at him from the corner of her eye. "You know exactly who I mean." She's asked him to do it many times. After she leaves, the attacker starts waking up, begging for help. He tries to bargain with John. "If you call an ambulance, I'll shut up. I won't mention anything. I won't tell anyone what Jane did to me." John hesitates, then calls the ambulance anyway. The attacker is taken away. Jane gets home and finds her father, Beck, waiting. He's on the phone with a man, one of those sick men who want his daughter. Jane moves toward him, and Beck thinks she's about to attack him, so he grabs her by the neck. Hard. He threatens to throw her over the wall. And Jane, she doesn't fight back. She doesn't resist. She just lets him choke her, like she's waiting for something. Beck finally lets go and walks away. Jane stands up and starts laughing, a slow, mocking laugh. Then suddenly she stops, like she flips a switch. Because Beck is walking down the stairs, and John is walking up. They meet halfway. John sees the marks on her neck. He drops to his knees beside her, shaken. He's devastated. Jane looks down at him and asks quietly, "Would you ever hit me? Even if I asked you to?" John answers instantly, "No. Never." Jane stands up, takes his hands, and squeezes them like she's imprinting him. "You're different from everyone else. Please, don't change toward me." John pulls back, disturbed. He tells her the truth. "Lately, you're scaring me. You're scaring me for you, and you're scaring me of you." Back at the restaurant, Han notices the wound on her neck. He asks her what happened. Jane refuses to explain. Han tells her gently, "You can use me, you know. We're basically family." Jane plays the angel. "Use you? I've never used anyone in my life." Han smiles like he doesn't believe her performance. Explains, "I'm your boss here, like your brother. If you need help, I'll help, no problem." Meanwhile, John is doing something dangerous. He's secretly watching Beck, following him around his shady business. Beck notices he's being filmed. He runs. John chases him. A violent struggle happens. John finally pins Beck down. He grabs a stone. He's about to smash Beck's skull, but at the very last second, he stops, because Jane arrives. Jane looks at him, furious. She wanted him to finish it. But the police arrive and save Beck. Jane goes with them to the station, and there, she protects her father. She defends him against every accusation. Then she shocks everyone by turning the blame on John. She says John attacked her at night. John loses it. He tells them she's not telling the truth. She's scared of him. Then he adds, "I have proof. This man is involved in drugs, and he talks about selling his daughter." He reaches for his phone, and the story cuts back. We find out that earlier, Jane had his phone, and she deleted every single piece of evidence. Then she handed the phone to police like nothing happened. John is stunned by what she's done. Jane calmly walks her father out of the station like a loyal daughter. Then she goes to John, now sitting in detention. Her face is ice. She tells him, if he gets arrested, he'll come out eventually, and the suffering won't end. "You had one chance to free me from him, but you're a coward. You couldn't finish him. So leave it to me. I'll handle it. My way." She goes home and remembers Han's words. "Use me." She adds makeup, fake bruises, extra scratches on her face. She wants to look even more helpless. Next day at work, they ask her what happened. She smiles gently. "Oh, I fell on the stairs." But when they insist, she changes the story. She says a man has been stalking her, hurting her whenever he sees her. Han asks, "Where's John? Why isn't he picking you up?" Jane lies smoothly. "He's staying with his grandmother for a while." Han gets angry. "That's not okay. Until he's back. I'll take his place. I'll drive you home myself." And he does. On the way, Han gives her pepper spray. If anyone shows up, spray his eyes. It burns instantly. He won't see. Han walks her to her apartment door. He's shocked. How does a girl like you live in a filthy place like this? He turns to leave. Then he hears her scream. He runs back. Jane is staring at a box. Inside it, a rat, and a note that says, "Your turn." Then suddenly, they send someone. Beck is there, watching, but he runs away. Han chases him downstairs. While Han is gone, Jane picks up the rat with her bare hands. No fear. Han comes back, breathless. He leaves his baseball bat with her. "Keep this. If anything happens," he offers. She sleeps at his place. "Ya ne refuses." The next day, Han offers again. "Stay at my house until John comes back. I'll let you take the home. I'll sleep at family's place." But then a co-worker interrupts. He tells Han, "You know who I saw today?" He starts to say he saw the unstable man again. Jane panics. Immediately, she pretends she's hurt, then deliberately cuts her own hand to stop the conversation. It becomes obvious She knows that man. She was involved with him. Still, she agrees to move into Han's house. Back at Jane's apartment, Beck returns. He's confused. Why is everything broken? Because Jane has been wrecking her own home on purpose. Now we understand why. On the way, Jane texts Han. I'm going back to grab something. I'll be quick. Han warns her. If you feel even a little unsafe, call me. Jane arrives. Exactly as she predicted. Beck is waiting. She starts provoking him, pushing every button. I brought the money like we agreed. And Beck is holding that same cap, the same one the unstable man wore. So yes, it was planned. Beck opens the bag and finds the money is paper stuffing. He explodes. He grabs her and beats her. Every time he tries to stop, Jane provokes him again. And while he's hitting her, she secretly calls Han. Han hears the violence, the pain. He starts running. At the same time, John has been released from the station. He calls Jane. He hears hair groaning being hit. He starts running too. Jane keeps staring at the clock, timing it. Every second matters. Baek tries to walk away again. Jane sprays him with the pepper spray Han gave her. He screams. He becomes more violent. Jane can tolerate it. Her only goal. Han arrives at the right moment, and he does. Han bursts in. A brutal fight breaks out. Han hits Beck with the baseball bat, hard enough that Beck collapses. Han thinks he killed him. He's shocked, horrified. He staggers outside, gasping. Then he turns and sees Jane, a completely different face. Even though she's bleeding, bruised, she grabs the bat and starts smashing Beck again. With all her rage, with all her hatred, Han can't understand. Why is she doing this? Who is she? The angel he thought he knew was a mask. Han runs away from her. Then John arrives. He sees Jane calling the police, crying, hysterical. She tells them, my father, someone attacked us. Please help. She hangs up, and the crazy laugh comes back. Then the story rewinds a few hours. We learn Beck was still alive after Han hit him. He begged Jane for help. After everything he did, Jane stares at him and asks, what are you? Do you have 7 lives? And she finishes him, alone. She removes the cap and throws it into the bathroom, because killing him herself was not part of her plan. And now, that cap will drag her into trouble. And honestly, it feels like she even arranged things with the unstable man to set all this up. That's just the pattern. Han is arrested. Jane accuses him of murdering Beck. Han tells police. There was a stalker, wearing a cap. Police reply. There was no cap near Beck's body. Han freezes. Now he starts remembering. He tried to call an ambulance, but Jane begged him not to. She admitted her father abused her. She cried. She played the victim and trapped him. Back in the present, the investigators question Jane. Why did you report the crime 6 hours later? Jane says, I kept losing consciousness. The beating was too much. Then an important call comes in from Han's sponsor. Jane already knows the sponsor's name. She secretly listens. She hears them discussing framing her because the sponsor will pay them a huge amount. And either way, she won't spend long in prison. Her injuries will show self-defense. Jane doesn't panic. She records everything, every word. Then she goes further. She secretly photographs one of them taking a bribe. She sees a box full of money. The box has the sponsor's company name. Meanwhile, John has been watching from afar. He saw the news they suspect Jane. He keeps an eye on the investigators. When they search Jane's home, they find pieces of the cap in the bathroom. That confirms it. Jane isn't an angel. She's a devil wearing an angel's face. They arrest her. They confront her with the evidence. Jane stays silent. For once, someone read her plan. Even John hires the family lawyer. But they tell him, there's no way out. She's trapped. But Jane flips the board again. She plays the recorded call in front of the prosecutor. The investigators and sponsor are discussing framing her. They get arrested. But the main officer escapes consequences. Because the call didn't mention names. And there's no physical proof, just future intention. And the bribery photo? They claim it shows him accepting cosmetics. He swapped the contents. So the main officer is cleared. The other investigator falls. Then the secretary, a businesswoman Hay, visits Jane. She offers help. Jane understands. If she accepts, she becomes their property. She says that out loud, but the secretary simply replies, if you want out, talk to them. Then everything explodes again. John walks into the station and confesses. He says he did everything. No one believes him. But here's what really happened. John saw Jane killing her father. He panicked. For the first time in his life, he saw that darkness with his own eyes. He wiped her fingerprints. He grabbed the bat, and he hit Beck one final time, after Beck was already dead, just so the weapon would carry his prints. But there's a problem. A hotel employee called police and said John was at the hotel at exactly 00, which means physically he cannot be at 2 places in the same moment. John can't lie along. Under pressure, he breaks and admits the truth. He attacks the investigator, begging, lock me up. Jane has suffered enough. Leave her alone. In the end, Han carries the case. The main officer is safe, and this was all made possible by businesswoman Hay. Jane is released. She meets Hai and asks, what do I do to repay you? Hay tells her, cut John out of your life. He will ruin your fame. Jane responds calmly. Don't worry. I never wanted him in my life anyway. Then John comes to her. He's furious. He says every disaster happened because of her. Jane answers coldly. I didn't ask anyone to save me. Han did it on his own. John asks, is this who you are? Or was I just stupid? Jane tells him, she's been hurt since birth. Everyone abandoned her. Everyone used her. She isn't sorry. Not for a single thing. Then she tells him to disappear. To never stand in her way again. John collapses. He grabs her. Despérate. He says, you can't live without me. I can't live without you. I'll take punishment for you. I'll carry everything. Jane rejects him. She says, your time in my life is over. If you were useful, I would have chosen you. Then she walks away. Time pass. Jane becomes a star. She enters acting, and she's rising fast. Han watches her from prison, broken, because he used his heart, and got destroyed for it. Years later, a film festival. Jane steps out of a car, holding hands with Hyo, one of the most famous actors. She almost trips. Hyo catches her. The press explodes. They look perfect. They have chemistry. They ask about her relationship with Lee. Rumors say Lee hates her. Lee is a famous actress, a box office queen, and suddenly, Jane started getting lead roles opposite her. Jane smiles for cameras. Lee is my friend, my sister. She helped me a lot. John watches Jane from afar. Now, a famous writer. And Jung is there too, released after his sentence. Lee goes home and finds Hyo there. She asks if she's bothering him. She tries to get close. She insults Jane, calling her fake. But Hyo stops her. How long are we going to keep doing this? We learn they used to be together. But Hyo lost interest. Lee believes it's because of Jane. Next day on set, Lee humiliates Jane on purpose. She stops the shoot, says Jane doesn't know her lines, mocks her, tells her, if you want to stand next to a star like me, you shouldn't sleep at night from rehearsing, not spend the night being loved on TV. The director obeys Lee. Everyone begs Jane to endure it. Because Lee is the lead. That night, Hae arrives and scolds Lee for her behavior toward Hyo and Jane. We realize Hae controls everyone. She holds secrets, files, dirt. Lee runs after Hae, apologizing, begging. And Jane watches confused because Lee is terrified of Hae. Another day, while Jane is doing makeup and hair, Lee confronts her. Why do you hate me? What is this table-turning game? Jane answers calmly. I know you. I know everything. She tells Lee. I saw you at the police station, during my father's case. And she warns her. I know Hae is hiding your secret. So don't provoke her. And don't provoke me. I don't need scandals for Hae to love me. That love is, for God's sake, not yours. Later, Jane heads to set. A delivery worker follows her. His face is hidden under a helmet. She enters the car, and we discover it's Jang. He remembers their sweet moments. Jane looks away, seeing an ad for John, the famous writer. She misses him, but she forces the feeling down. Meanwhile, Susie is still the same. Greedy, cold. She goes to John's grandfather. She begs for money. She took a loan. Can't pay. Might go to prison. She threatens him. If you don't pay, I'll go to my son. I'll expose everything. The grandfather gets furious and kicks her out. But she doesn't give up. Then, by chance, John is somewhere, and Jane is filming there too. Their eyes meet. For seconds, it feels like time stops. Then Susie appears, scolding John. You're still chasing a woman who doesn't even see you. John stays quiet. Susie's last move. She goes to Hae. She tries to blackmail her with Jane's past. Beck's case. Han being framed. All of it. She dramatizes how the world will react if they find out Jane killed her father. Hae smiles. She understands the game. Susie is bargaining. Jane enters the office, so Susie leaves. Jane is obedient. She follows Hae's rules exactly. But inside, she hates the humiliation. Outside, Lee waits for Jane and hints. One day you'll taste humiliation too. Hae's office isn't far. Her safe has files on all of us. Jane explodes. Then she sees John on a big screen giving an interview, reciting a poem, a love poem, about a girl he can't speak to now, a girl who once was always beside him. Jane's anger ignites. She asks her assistant, who allowed John to do an interview through our company? Assistant answers, Lee arranged it. Yizurisa. At the same time, Lee is with John. John is driving her. Lee says she'll grab something and come back. Meanwhile, Jane tries to steal her own file. She tries different codes on the safe. Suddenly, Lee appears behind her. Looking for this? Lee shows the file and walks away. Jane chases her. For the first time in her life, Jane begs. Lee doesn't pity her. She demands Jane kneel, then changes her mind and says, nothing will fix what you did to me. She slaps Jane. Jane stands still. No resistance. Because we already know that silence means a plan is forming. Then John steps out of the car, sees Jane being slapped, tears in his eyes. He can't even react. He walks to Lee and blames her. That was too much. Lee snaps. You don't know what she did to me. She ruined my life. Company anniversary party. 1 year since Jane joined. Everyone gathers. Suddenly Hyo feels sick. He slips into the bathroom to take his medicine away from eyes. but he loses control. At that moment, Jane appears. She hands him a bottle of water. I thought you needed this. Then she walks away. Outside, Jane sees Lee approaching, dragging John by the hand, trying to provoke her. Lee thinks John is Jane's ex. Jane is ready. Then Hyo comes out, walks to them, and thanks Jane. That makes Lee burn inside. The company begins showing Jane's work on screen. She's the star of the year. And in the middle of the presentation, they show the pens Jane took from Lee in the parking garage. Now we understand. Jane had her assistant recording everything. Lee is humiliated in front of everyone. Lee walks away, devastated. Jane follows and offers a deal. If you want me to forget what the reporters just saw, kneel. Jane shows her she holds the scandal that can destroy her career. Then Jane promises, as long as you don't stand in my way, I'll stay away. Jane leaves. But outside, she meets the officer, the one who got arrested because of her case before. He corners her. Aren't you guilty about Han? His life was destroyed because of you. He's not asking. He's threatening. From afar, John sees them. John's eyes meet Jane's. No words. Jane pretends she doesn't see him. But her heart doesn't stop. The moment John gets home, he freezes. Because she's there, sitting and waiting for him, like she never left. And just like when they were kids, he holds her hand. He instantly feels it. Her fingers are cold. So he offers to make her something warm. He sits beside her, and she leans in the same way she always used to. Because Jin knows him better than anyone. She knows he loves her. She knows he's obsessed with her. And she's been playing that weakness like a piano since childhood. John's eyes fill with tears. Even though he knows deep down she's using him, he still can't resist her. He can't reject her. He can't imagine his life without her. Even if the feelings are fake, he accepts them. But the next morning, Susie walks in. And the second she sees Jin there, she explodes. She starts shouting, insulting, humiliating her. Jin fights back. Susie pushes harder, and it turns into a full fight until John steps in and forces them to stop. Jin looks at John with that exhausted, broken expression and says, "See, this is why I can't be in your life. I'm still trapped inside the hell of my past." And she walks away. John, of course, chooses Jin. He runs after her because he waited years for her to come back. He pulls her into the car, and they drive away, leaving everything behind. Meanwhile, during a filming day with Hugh asks Jin to meet him outside. She agrees. They have dinner together, and Hugh tells her something important. I feel like you're hiding something. Like, your past still hurts you. Then he opens up about his own past. He reveals that he also rose to fame because of someone else. And that someone else got destroyed because of a small incident. Consulate proven. A co-worker once ate sweets, and suddenly quit acting, because he had a severe nut allergy. But Hugh's tone, his face, the way he tells it, makes it obvious. He didn't just watch it happen. He was the reason it happened. He basically hints that sometimes, for your own benefit, you don't have to step on people. And he admits he regrets it, because that coworker still talks to him until today. And Hugh has never had the courage to confess the truth. In the end, he looks at Jin and tells her, I'll keep supporting you. Always. Back at home, Jin gets a call from an unknown number. A voice tells her, either you come to this address, or I expose you. Jin doesn't panic. She simply says, send me the address. At the same time, Hugh is shockingly headed to the same place Jin is going to. When Jin arrives, she looks around and realizes, this place is not normal. It's low class, suspicious, dirty. Then the caller speaks again. The voice tells her that the person she's about to see was once an actor, a beginner. Until one day, his entire life collapsed. And then he tells her, you're going to end up like him, soon. And finally, we see who called her. The investigator. Then Jiang saw her, and the moment he sees her inside a place like that, he gets furious. He pulls her out, shoves her into his car. He demands, what are you doing here? Jin explains the blackmail call, but Jiang suddenly stops the car, tells her to get out, and says, I'll handle this. And right after that, Jiang goes straight to the investigator, the one involved in Jin's old case. And without anyone noticing, Jiang switches their phones. Because he knows the investigator is about to meet the officer, the same officer who's been threatening Jin. So every word they say gets recorded. Later, Jiang returns the phone like nothing happened. And then Jiang goes to John. He plays him the recorded conversation. But Jiang still doesn't know the full truth about Jin's father's death. He asks John directly, and John tells him with complete certainty. Jin is innocent. Han is in prison, and he's the real criminal. Then Jin arrives, and suddenly, the three of them are sitting together, just like old times. John notices something. Jin's eyes, hair softness, hair attention. It's not only toward him. She's also looking at Jiang. But John is so broken, so used to it. He accepts it, because he knows Jin. She never belongs to one man when she wants something. And while all this is happening, Jin keeps pushing closer to Hugh, to the point where she sets up a random charity food delivery. And oh, surprise, The building she chooses happens to be where Hugh's grandmother lives. His grandmother suffers from dementia. She forgets constantly, and when Jin enters, the old woman looks at her and believes she's her daughter. The grandmother tells Jin, "My daughter used to cook this exact food for me, but since she died, I haven't eaten it again." Then Hugh arrives and catches Jin there. He immediately becomes suspicious. "Why are you here? Why are you trying to get close to me?" Jin pretends innocence. "I was just delivering food. I recently moved nearby. It's a coincidence." But Hugh doesn't buy it. So Jin flips the script. She says, "Why is it always like this? Every time I try to get close, you push me away." Then she hits him with the line, "You were the one who warned me, who cared about me. I'm doing for you exactly what you did for me." She tells him people say he's lonely, and then suddenly she confesses, "I admire you," but in the same breath, she destroys him. "Actually, that admiration is gone now, because I realized you're a coward who can't face his past." Back home, John asks her, "What are you planning now?" And Jin says it clearly, "I'm dating Hugh. He's my future." John swallows his pride like always. Then Jin adds, "1 year only, then I'll come back to you." Like she's booking him, like a backup plan. Meanwhile, Hugh finally decides to face his past. He calls that old co-worker, and the truth is a shock. The co-worker says, "I knew the sweets had nuts. You weren't the reason." Then he apologizes for something even worse. "I let you suffer for years, while I knew you weren't guilty." Hugh snaps. He goes to hit him, but the co-worker reveals the real bomb. "Jin came to me and told me to say that." And he adds, "She looks like she loves you. She looks so kind." Hugh rushes straight to Hai. He demands, "Make Jin stay away from me." She crossed every boundary. And he also orders Hai to announce his breakup with Lee immediately. On the other side, Zhang is still watching the investigator. He hears him talking to a journalist about Jin's case file. So Zhang kidnaps him, and John joins in. John threatens the investigator with a file about the investigator's own daughter, proof of drugs, cases, scandals, and John tells him, "This isn't about money. The price for your silence is simple. Stay away from Jin." The investigator immediately calls the journalist and says, "I have no info." Then John investigates more and realizes that journalist has been following Jin for a long time, always writing negative articles about her. Meanwhile, Hugh misses Jin again. He texts her, "I want to see you." Immediately, Jin calls Zhang. She needs him for the next plan. And Zhang obeys. The plan is simple. Delay Hugh. Zhang even allows Hugh to hit him with the car. He doesn't care if he dies, as long as Jin is pleased. Then Zhang steals Hugh's time by forcing him to make insurance calls from Zhang's phone, stalling him as much as possible. At the same time, John is drinking at the bar, trying to catch Jin doing something terrible. But he's drunk. He's not focused. He hears men making filthy comments about Jin's photos. John loses control and attacks them, but he's too unstable. They beat him up instead. Lee runs to him to check on him, and right here, Jin's plan works perfectly. Hugh finally arrives, angry and worried, because she waited in the cold for over an hour. And Jin says her two perfect lines. "I was so worried about you, I didn't even feel the cold. And it's okay. I'd wait a lifetime, as long as you came." Then she wraps her scarf around him. And we're sitting there like, what kind of devil gets a standing ovation like that? And the final twist, Zhang is standing at a distance, filming everything. His heart is shattered. Meanwhile, Lee is with John, pretending she likes him, only to watch every move Jin might make. The next morning, the news explodes. Jin and Hugh are dating. Mario calls Jin and warns her, "You're going to lose a lot of fans." Jin replies sweetly, "What matters is our relationship." But inside her head, "My audience is growing every day because of Hugh." And she immediately meets Lee's personal journalist, pays him well to write only what they want. And if he ever betrays them, Lee has a scandal waiting for him. Then Jin prepares Lee's destruction. She uses her assistant. The assistant goes on a date. In the shock, she's meeting Zhang, because Zhang arranged it with Jin. They get the assistant drunk until she exposes Lee's secrets. They record everything, and they post it online. Lee sees the video and collapses. Jin walks in smiling, shocked. "I'm just trying to return the pens you stole from me. And this is only the beginning." She shows Lee the flood of messages attacking her. Then she says, "I was good to you. Why did you bring out the worst in me?" Lee fires her assistant immediately, and she screams, "You caused my friend's scandal. You ruined everything. And Jin, she lives her happiest days with Hugh and his grandmother. John watches from afar, counting the days until the 1-year promise ends. And Jin's eyes look different. They shine. She looks changed. But we already agreed. Never trust the smile. Time passes, and we see Song again. The same girl who mocked Jin for being poor, now working in a shoe store, watching Jin walk surrounded by cameras and fans. Song writes a post attacking Jin, exposing what she did, without even mentioning her name. Hi, Varens, Jin. If you have old enemies, deal with them now. Jin collapses emotionally. She gets sick, fever, exhaustion. Hugh's grandmother comes to take care of her. She feels sorry for Jin and says, even if you did something wrong, it doesn't matter. Just don't do it again. And Jin starts to feel the past chasing her from every direction. Then Jin meets Han again. She's terrified. Han looks at her and says, aren't you ashamed? Jin stutters, calls him a good person. Han smiles bitterly. How long do you think I'll stay good? Then Hugh's grandmother appears. She greets Han warmly, meaning she knows him. She dealt with him before. Jin's fear grows. She rushes to explain, I used to work at his restaurant, long ago. Meanwhile, Lee goes to John's house to get close to him. But Jung opens the door. He screams at her, because for a second, he thought she was Jin. And when Jin calls Jung, he senses something wrong in her voice. John arrives too. He asks, was that Jin? Jung says yes. John warns him, don't go upstairs. There's a wild woman inside. Then the reveal, John is the one funding Hai's company. He's the executive behind Jin's entire career, and he wants Jin to become the heroine of his new novel, which he plans to turn into a movie. Ai calls Hugh, but Hugh says, Jin and I are getting married. She won't be free. I insist, because the writer demands it. It's a huge deal. Hugh tells Jin about the project and the demand. When Jin hears that John is behind it, she smiles quietly. She agrees. But then, she goes to John's home after an entire year of silence, and sits waiting for him. He walks in and nearly collapses. He can't believe it's real. She asks him, why did you take so long? And he answers, you're the one who took too long. You promised a year, and more than a year passed. We find out John pressured Hai into casting Jin with him, to block her marriage with Hugh, and pull her away from him. Jin seduces John again with her eyes like always. But suddenly Lee appears. She looks at them and smirks. So this is why you're together? And by the way, the bedroom is huge upstairs. Did you notice? And then, only days later, we see Jin with Hugh at a restaurant celebrating her birthday. Suddenly, Lee shows up with John just to sabotage everything. She says, strange, you haven't seen John in a while, even though you were at his apartment 2 days ago. Jin improvises instantly. John is like my brother. We grew up together. Then John adds something shocking. I used to hurt Jin a lot, and I need to think how to make it up to her. Jin continues the lie. I forgot everything from before. Then she answers Lee's question. I went to John's place to reject the role he offered. Lee laughs. That role fits you perfectly. The heroine who lies professionally while smiling and destroys everyone around her. Hugh ends the tension. It's Jin's birthday. Either say something nice or stay quiet. And now, the grandmother finds her diary. The diary Jin stole. And the craziest part? Jin didn't just steal it. She continued writing her own diary inside it. Because Jin wanted to understand Hugh's life, his weaknesses, and how to enter his world. The grandmother reads Jin's words, and everything begins to unravel. Hugh asks Jin to take care of his grandmother because he must travel. Jang drives Jin there. But then, they hear a crash. John followed them, and at the top of the stairs, they find the grandmother fallen, and Jin standing there, doing nothing. They rush her to the hospital, but she dies. Hugh arrives at the funeral destroyed. Jin tries to calm him, but during the investigation, Jin tells police. Hugh asked me to go to her, and we learn something else. When John and Jung tried to help the grandmother, Jin stopped them and said, there are no cameras here. Police ask Han again about Jin. Did she frame him? Did she ruin him? And shockingly, Han still refuses to expose her. He says, Jin has nothing to do with it. She even forgave me when I killed her father. Jin hears this and is confused. Later, she asks Han, why are you doing this? You could clear your name now. Han says, every year in prison, I went through phases. Regret, confusion, then pity. In the last year, I felt sorry for you. Jin tells him, You'll regret it. Because you never took your revenge from me. After the funeral, Jin doesn't stop. She chases a famous director and tells him, Hugh was grateful you attended, and he'll invite you to dinner soon. 2 days later, Hugh's neighbor tells him something terrifying about the day his grandmother died. She says she heard crying, screaming. Then a beautiful girl came, and the grandmother was yelling at her, pushing her. How could you deceive us like this? She tells Hugh that there are illegal cameras at a neighbor's place, but she can't tell police. Hugh rushes there, but the hard drive is already gone. The police somehow found out and took it. Jin meets the director again for a new movie that will take her global, but he warns her, there are rumors about you marrying Hugh. If that happens, the film won't succeed. We agreed on that. Jin calmly says, it's just rumors. And while Jin is secretly planning how to separate from Hugh, Hugh is at home waiting for her, ready to propose. He prepared a card with beautiful words. You're my first love. I don't want to live without you. Jin enters and shocks him. She says coldly, how can you tell people you're marrying me without asking me? Then she demands, we're breaking up. Hugh is stunned. He can't understand where her warmth went, where the sparkle in her eyes disappeared. Jin mocks him, we're breaking up. How do you want me to say it? She laughs while she says it, and Hugh's tears fall. He realizes he loves something not human. He begs her to stay, but Jin hits him with the final knife. Your grandmother discovered who I really am. He panics. What did you do to her? Jin answers, nothing. She's the only person I was ever honest with. Then she walks away, and she calls a journalist to publish the breakup immediately. Zhang follows her and warns her, there are cars watching you. He tries to block them, but there are too many. Ming get out and beat him. The next day, the breakup news spreads. Hai goes to check on Hugh, but he's dead in the bathtub. Suicide or something else. We'll learn later. John becomes furious. He confronts Jin. He reminds her, you promised 1 year, not destruction. Jin answers with cold hatred. He did it to himself, not me. The fight explodes. They throw the past at each other. Jin reminds him of his mother trying to kill her. She tells him if Zhang had stayed with her, he would have gotten revenge for her. Zhang calls her what she truly is. Evil. Criminal. Then Jin softens suddenly, seducing him again. If you want to leave me, go. But she knows he won't. Fans of Hugh start attacking Jin in public. They throw eggs at her. They blame her for his death. And suddenly, Song appears. Song defends Jin and swaps clothes with her to help her escape. Hai finally decides. She will expose Jin. She has the files. And Jin's in begins. 2 days later, Jin gets the message. The production company cancelled her contract. She storms to Hai. How could you do this? John funds you. I answers. Hugh was not just an actor. He was like my son. And he deserves justice. Hai vows. The rest of your life will be destruction. I will take revenge for everyone you hurt. And I'm waiting for your file to become complete, so I can destroy you with one final case. For the first time, Jin truly begs. She grabs Hai's hands. Hit me. Humiliate me. Do anything, just don't do this. Hai stays cold. And she says, the least you can do to atone is jump from this building. Jin snaps back to her real self. She tells Hai, you exploited you too. He stayed by your side 10 years. Threatened for something he didn't do. But the 1 year he spent with me, suddenly I'm the reason he died? And this is where the story turns into a war. Because now, Jin has nowhere left to hide. Jin storms off, furious. Then we see June standing with Lee. He refuses to let her terminate Jin's contract. But Hai insists and tells him plainly. She owns the company, and she'll do what she wants. He's just an investor, nothing more. She reminds him that Jin has hurt a lot of people in her life. After that, June goes to our heroine and tells her what happened between him and Hai that day. He explains he tried to find an alternative, any production company he could invest in so they'd adopt her upcoming work, but unfortunately Hai has already coordinated with everyone so that no one hires Jean. And because of the news and the drop in her fans after what happened with Hyo, the companies agree. They're convinced who would invest in a losing bet anyway. Of course, Jean starts challenging Hai. And then it happens. Suddenly the police show up at Hai's company. The news spreads that they discovered she had embezzled government money and stolen the rights of the actors she sponsors. Not only that, her entire star system is exposed. Every actor who signed an exclusive contract with her had a scandal, and she either saved them by destroying someone else or solved their problem in a shady way. Among those files, Lee's file is found as well. Days pass. And then Jean receives a call from another production company wanting to sign her again. They promise to stand by her and bring her name back even brighter than before. And since Song was the one who saved her earlier, Jean hires Song as her assistant, or more accurately, as her disguise. When Jean worries about how a production company would risk working with her, afraid hate comments might explode again, Song reassures her sarcastically. No, no, there isn't any bad talk about you anymore. Jean asks her, why are you so focused on everything? Song answers with bitter, provoking laughter. Of course I'm following everything. I'm literally the first negative comment you'll ever see under your posts. Jean goes to the meeting with the new production company. Zheng drives her there. The manager meets her and tells her they'll support her, introduces the company, and surprises her by saying they have the biggest investor who specializes in young faces and rising talent. He says the investor has been determined to sign her since the moment he saw her, and he wants to meet her. When Jean meets him in the same place, he introduces himself. His name is Hyuk, a discoverer of beautiful young talents like her. Jean, being smart, asks him why he chose her. But he stops her and asks her not to interrupt. He starts talking about himself more, how a certain percentage of the profits goes to charities, and how he's the kind of person who can't bear to see someone suffering. He says he learned she's been suffering a lot lately, and really, since the day she was born, so he decided to stand by her and help her get out of everything she used to live in. Jean looks surprised. She tells him she never imagined her life mattered to anyone that much. But it becomes clear that Hyuk is basically the curse that has opened over Jean's life, coming to take revenge for everyone she hurt. We confirm that when we see him genuinely obsessed with every detail of her life. He speaks to his assistant and orders him to delete Jean's files from Hai's possession. He also focuses on Jun, and we learn that Hyuk's men are the same men who stepped out of the cars that were monitoring Jean, and they were the ones who beat up Zheng. After Jean signs with the biggest production company, Hai's secretary comes to her and begs Jean to help because Hai is ruined without you. Jean responds with pure schadenfreude. Honestly, I can't do anything. Maybe you can do what someone once advised me, go up to a building and jump off it. Then you'll be free of everything. Later we see Jean with Hyuk at the swimming pool. He hints to her that he's the reason all of this happened, and that he's the one who placed Hai's innocence in Jean's hands. Jean thanks him a lot for standing by her, believing there's only one explanation. He must love her. But Hyuk keeps laughing in a way that belittles her. He tells her he doesn't love her, he pities her. Then he starts revealing his true intention and showing his real personality. He tells her he feels her pain because she must have suffered a lot, and now it's time for her to enjoy life. He offers her a deal. She chooses whatever she wants, but in exchange she will belong to him, only him. He will have full freedom to do whatever he wants with her. Suddenly, he proposes official public marriage in exchange for her winning the best award for the film they're about to shoot, and for him wiping out her entire past immediately. And he really does put the ring on her finger. But at that exact moment, June gets a phone call. His grandfather has died. At the funeral, Susie's mother appears again, completely unstable because she's drunk, screaming because the grandfather left her no inheritance. In the middle of her ranting, she blurts out that June is not actually the grandfather's grandson, he's truly the driver's son. They drag her outside, and she tells June she did it as a sacrifice so he could live a good life. If people knew he was the driver's son, he would have grown up poor, so she had to attribute him to her husband's rich family, whose grandfather just died. She says instead of being angry, he should thank her. Then she drops another bomb. Jean already knows this information, and that's why Jean tried to kill her in the past. She confirms that Jean was blackmailing her constantly, and Susie tolerated that blackmail so June could continue living in luxury. June gets furious and finally understands. All those years, Jean kept Susie under her control, because Susie had once tried to kill Jean because of him. Then we cut to Jean, she's sleeping, and Song talks to her. Song can't take it anymore. She tells Jean she wants compensation for what Jean did to her in the past because Jean destroyed her life. But Jean answers coldly, I was minding my own business. You were the one who decided to pick on me, and what happened to you was the least punishment. Song secretly vows to make her pay a heavy price for all of it. The next day, Jun comes to Jean and confronts her with the truth his mother told him about Jean, knowing everything, and blackmailing Susie. Jean doesn't deny it at all. She tells him she did it for his own good. She wanted him to live with his rich grandfather. Jun stands in front of her, holding back tears. He loves her and can't live without her, even though he clearly sees her lying and using him. Time passes. Jean truly changes on the outside. Wealth shows on her completely. She moves to the palace, her marital nest. Hyuk has prepared everything to tempt her. The luxurious palace, servants, the wedding invitations left to her to decide, and even the destination written for their honeymoon flight after the wedding. The news is announced. Hyuk is marrying Jean. The press says it's Hyuk's second marriage. No one knows if he divorced before, or if his previous wife died, or what happened. While Jean is in the palace after returning from travel, she finds a door leading to a different floor. She wants to enter, but the maid tells her no one is allowed in that room. It's Hyuk's private space. But Jean never lets anything stop her. She decides to use her charm on Hyuk when he returns, asks permission, and enters the room. When he asks why, she says she wants to study her role with focus, especially after learning that this is his personal office. He calmly answers that he'll stay with her and train her on the role himself if the office reminds her of him because she misses him when he's away. But it becomes obvious that Jean can't control Hyuk's mind at all. Hyuk starts reading the script with her, and the conversation leads to him talking about his previous wife. He says she used to threaten him that she would kill him. He acts confused, saying he doesn't know why she kept saying that, even though he gave her everything and let her live an extremely luxurious life, with cold, ungrateful arrogance. He says he still doesn't understand why she went crazy in the end and ended up in a psychiatric hospital. Then he asks Jean, have you ever killed someone before? Didn't you feel the pleasure of ending someone's life with your own hands? When he sees her getting uneasy, he shifts back to the script talk. Then Jean notices the palace clock has stopped at a specific time, the exact time she killed her father. Nightmares begin hitting her about the day she did it. As for Jun and Jiang, we see them sitting together, lamenting their fate. Jun decides to go live with his uncle, since he's the only family he has left, and he actually does. Jiang stays stuck in the past with Jiang, until that past becomes present again, when Jin asks him to find any information about Hyuk's previous wife. But Hyuk is spying on her, hearing everything between them, smiling because she thinks he's naive. Back at the palace, a maid offers Jean a drink. Jean refuses, but the maid begs. If Jean doesn't drink, the maid will get in huge trouble. And then, we return to the very first scene the summary started with, when Hyuk entered the room and found Jean asleep. The next day, Song enters the palace disguised as a maid. She got close to Jean to kill her, but when Jean senses her and grabs her hand, a fight breaks out. Jean gets injured. While defending herself, Song ends up cutting her own face with her own hand. Jean starts laughing hysterically, mocking Song. Song came to disfigure Jean's face, but she ended up disfiguring herself without Jean even doing anything. Hyuk walks in and watches everything happy, laughing in a terrifying way. And from here, the final part begins breath-holding time. We continue with Song. She came to put eyeliner on Jean, but instead ruined herself. Jean keeps laughing like a madwoman. When Hyuk arrives, he seems upset, but we, the viewers, notice something. The previous night, Hyuk was staring intensely at Jean's face, as if he was pleased with what would happen to it. He approaches Jean, and as she starts losing consciousness, he nudges her leg with his foot, lifts her up, takes her to her room, and leaves Song on the floor, screaming alone, still swearing revenge on Jean. In Jean's room, Jun comes and reassures her that he's with her. The moment she sees him, she finally feels safe, and gets close to him. Meanwhile, Jung sees the news and learns what happened to Jean because of Song. He becomes furious. When Jean wakes up, her husband calls and suggests she extend a vacation. Jean refuses and says rumors are growing and she needs to return to her life. Hyuk tells her Song has been arrested, evaluated as mentally ill, and locked in a psychiatric hospital, meaning she can't come near Jean. He ends the call, happy, hurrying home, talking to himself. She must miss me now. Jang wants to locate Song, and is shocked to learn she's held in the same hospital where Hyuk's previous wife was. When he asks if he can see the previous wife, they answer that she hasn't been there for a year. No one knows where she went. Strangely, one day, Jun and his mother walking. They meet a fan who asks him if what he's writing is the story of the star Jean, because everything happens to her just like the story, except the part about someone attacking her. Jun gets alarmed, runs out, calls Jang to confirm if Jean is okay. Jang angrily tells him, go ask her yourself, what's your problem? At Jean's house, she feels bored. The headmaid asks if she needs anything. Jean asks for her usual drink, but coffee with alcohol. She senses the servants talking badly about her, hinting she kills anyone in her way. Then she comes back to her senses. She keeps imagining things that didn't happen. She sits alone, then suddenly opens her eyes and asks herself, where am I? The last thing she remembers is drinking tea, but what's in her hand is alcohol. She quietly goes outside. She finds the servants terrified, the house in chaos, everything broken, and they're cleaning it up. She's confused and walks toward the forbidden room, only to find it open. She stands there staring at the mess. A maid asks, are you truly not aware who did all this? If you're sick, tell me so we can take you to the hospital. We rewind. It was Jean. She suddenly smashed everything, stormed into the room, saw photos of Hyuk's previous wife everywhere, and started laughing hysterically. Then she suddenly saw the previous wife standing in front of her. The servants rushed to pull her out, but Jean got even more terrified and screamed. Back to the present. Jean refuses anything the maid says. She screams at her and warns them with a sly laugh. You won't be able to drive me insane like the one before me. She claims it's all because she drank too much, nothing more. Instead of stopping, she drinks more and stays awake until morning. Her phone rings, she's about to answer, but we don't see what happens. The next day, Jean goes to the filming location. After she finishes, Jang comes and reminds her she called him yesterday screaming for help from her husband, but Jean remembers nothing. Jang gets worried, drops to one knee, and tells her. Her husband is trying to drive her insane, and she must get away from him. He tells her Song went to her husband's hospital, and that there were calls between Song and Hyuk before the attack. Jean explodes. Impossible! He can't be the one who arranged for her to do this to me. She repeats that she can't lose this opportunity. She finally became a famous star and won't destroy her life. She breaks down while talking. Jang has nothing to do but promise he'll stand by her even if he sacrifices his life. That night, Hyuk comes home and finds Jean collapsed on the bathroom floor, badly injured. He looks upset, not because she's hurt, but because he wants her to fall even lower than this. He bandages her wounds himself and asks why she's doing this. With boldness, she answers his question with another. You want me to become helpless so you can control everything, right? He replies, I wish. That's exactly what I want. The next day at the set, Jean discovers the script has been changed. She now must perform a scene identical to the scene where she killed her father, even the baseball bat. The moment she holds the bat, something snaps. She starts beating the actor so violently that the crew rushes to pull her off, only after the man is nearly dying. He He's taken to the hospital. Hyuk stands there laughing. The news spreads. Jin's scandal explodes. She's exposed publicly as mentally unstable. Jin is horrified to learn the person who changed the script was her husband. She goes to him at the pool and asks why he did that. He shamelessly explains. I told you to become my doll. You played around and didn't. You don't want me to control you the way I want. So I decided to control things without you asking. Jin stands at the edge while Hyuk is in the water. He creeps closer to her shoe and stares in a disturbing way. Jin's reaction shows she's disgusted by him. She pulls her foot away. He comes out of the water, and we realize Hyuk is extremely twisted. He tells her he knows all her secrets now, including her mother's secret when Jin was a child. Jin is shocked. She realizes the person who came to her room after the incident with Song was Hyuk. But she imagined it was June, because she always felt safety with June since childhood. Hyuk moves closer and tells her, if you want to keep everything you've achieved from disappearing, you know what I want. Then he throws her into the pool and leaves her to suffer. With pure arrogance he calls June. Come see your friend. She looks like she needs you. June rushes and finds her soaked, still frozen in place. He tries to explain her husband is trying to push her into madness. But Jin can't accept she's already losing it. She laughs and cries at the same time, runs away from him, locks herself in the bathroom, collapses, takes out her phone, and calls Jang. The moment Jang hears her voice, he tells her he'll stop Hyuk, even if it costs him his life. Jin asks him, why are you doing this to me? You know, I will never agree to anything with you, and I'll never be with you. Jang answers, all I care about is that you're comfortable, that I hear your voice, and see you happy. Jang then decides to provoke Hyuk's men until he falls into their hands. Yes, he actually wants to end up under their control. They surround him and beat him until he's bleeding everywhere, then throw him from above. He's smiling. We rewind a few minutes. We learn Jang recorded everything. He's set up cameras that automatically send everything to June. He also managed to get a recorded confession from Hyuk's men that they did it under Hyuk's orders. Then they throw Jang into the trash. When Jin reaches home, she tries to call Jang, but he doesn't answer. She stands there with tears in her eyes, realizing he really sacrificed his life for her. For the first time, she truly feels grief, real emotion breaking through. June finds out what Jang did for Jean's sake. The next morning, Jin is having breakfast with her husband. He notices she's laughing, changed, and asks, you don't remember what happened at the pool? What he doesn't know is that Jin has decided to do to him exactly what he's been doing to her, gaslighting him. She makes him doubt his memory. Pool? What pool? Remember what? Nothing happened. Her face is smiling so convincingly that he genuinely begins doubting himself. Then she shows him Jung's video, the men's voices clearly naming Hyuk. Jin tells him, I'm smart too, and if you think it's just a random video, then the bullet that doesn't hit still causes damage, and your damage will be devastating. She leaves him and walks away. Hyuk is left panicking, thinking what he'll do about this disaster. He realizes boundaries have appeared from today onward. After that, June calls Jean and asks what she's trying to reach. Were you seriously aware that Jang would do that to himself for you, and you still continued and accepted everything? Jin answers with cold selfishness. I didn't force him. I cried over him for 5 minutes. He chose it. Jung finally reaches his limit and decides he will stop her his own way. First, he meets Hyuk and makes a deal. Hyuk leaves Jin alone in exchange for the Jang video. Hyuk says, why me? My name was mentioned only once. Jun replies, it was mentioned twice, very clearly. Hyuk can't handle it, not even his assistant, who was responsible. He agrees to back off from harming Jin, as long as June make her harmless. News starts circulating. Jin is nominated for Best Actress. Every time June tries to contact her, she cancels him. Jin arrives at the award festival back to the very first scene of the summary, at the peak of her beauty and glow. But that glow doesn't last. While she stands proudly talking about what she went through to reach this stage, shedding a few tears, the news spreads widely, revealing everything she did throughout her life, every person she hurt from childhood to Song, her father, Hyo, and, first of all, her mother. She finishes her speech expecting applause, but something is wrong. When she comes down from the stage, she sees on the screen a video of June describing her father's crime in full detail, and Han, the victim who stood by her. Jin throws her award to the ground, collapses, runs out, trying to escape people's eyes. Outside, June is in front of her. She freezes. He takes her, they get into the car. He asks her, where do you want to go? She answers, anywhere with no one looking at me. June tells her, enough, Jin, you lost everything. Jin holds her tears and, refusing to show weakness. She can't even bring herself to be cruel to him. No one asks her why. What no one expected is that June is crazier than her. He holds her hand gently, begs her to stay with him for the rest of their lives, asks her to promise him, and suddenly the car flips. The media announces June's death. We see his mother at home finding a letter he left, revealing he had planned everything. He also says he removed all their pictures together so she won't remember even once. From the intensity of her breakdown, she falls down the stairs too, the cheating woman of the driver. Although everyone talks about June's death, no one can find June until a video appears. Hyuk watches it. After the car fell from the mountain, June managed to crawl out. The cameras followed her until she disappeared. We rewind. Jin and June were alive after the crash. Jin managed to escape and screamed at him to help her, but June tried to hold her so she wouldn't leave him. He couldn't. She got out and laughed in that same insane way. Before all of that, we see Jin's funeral because people assumed she was gone. And of course, what would you expect? She shows up and brings flowers for herself because, honestly, nobody loves her enough to spend a single pound on her. So that's how it ends. But let's be real, this story doesn't feel finished at all. Was Jin a victim, a villain, or both? And did June save her or destroy her? Drop your opinion in the comments. Who do you blame the most? Jeon, Hyuk, or June? And if there's a season 2, what do you think happens next?